Welcome to Conversations, the official MTA podcast interviews. We are here in London in April 2015 with our good friend Jeff Hirsch. Jeff, thank you very much for coming along.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
We already heard Jeff present at the Athens chapter, the Hellenic chapter of the MTA, and now he's doing a London presentation as well. The material is great, and it will be videoed so it can be watched later on and archived with the rest of the MTA, the UK chapter presentations. So without further ado, let's begin. Jeff, could you please give us some information about your personal and educational background before getting involved with technical analysis?
Well, you know, I was born and raised around the Stock Traders Almanac, which my father created, began the research for it the year that I was born. So, you know, I sort of grew up around it, looking at charts. Technical analysis was always part of our analysis in addition to the seasonal and cyclical work that we do and the fundamentals. So we combine it. So prior to that, though, I studied philosophy at the American University in Washington, D.C. I was kicking around trying to not get into the family business, but my good friend for many 40 some odd years said, Jeff, you got to be kidding me. Go work for your father. It's right there. So I did. You know, I learned as a kid growing up around it.
So how did you get first involved with technical analysis? My next question, I'm sure the answer would be through your father.
Yes, through the almanac.
All right, so let me rephrase that. What were the first things you learned in technical analysis?
Just price movement patterns, you know, seasonal and intraday things. One of the things I did was tabulating the half-hourly movements of the Dow Jones Industrial Average using the Barron's Lab pages, underlining the up half hours over the previous, and then entering it into an adding machine and writing it in pen or pencil onto spreadsheet graph paper, and then adding it up and seeing, you know, where the ups and downs and movements throughout the day were. So that may have been the original technical thing that I did.
Mm-hmm. I've heard through a lot of traders that mentioned that they were charting prices themselves. It was a great learning experience
That's how point and figure evolved, yeah.
Okay, can you please describe your day-to-day responsibilities at the Almanac, and what's the most challenging aspect of your work?
Probably keeping up with social media these days. You know, a lot of it is just tracking the different setups throughout the year, whether it's for the pound or the euro or oil or utility stocks. So you know, we wake up every day. I check Twitter, check my email, and see what the market's doing. Look at our accounts, and you know, it's a constant process of. You know, that's how the almanac and seasonality helps us. It keeps us on schedule with the market and anticipating what's coming up, whether it's longs or shorts, stocks, commodities, sectors.
Okay.
And then we write a little bit, you know, alerts and blog posts and things for subscribers and followers.
Got it. What are your favorite tools and techniques? Obviously, I mean, I would assume it's seasonality, but maybe you can elaborate if you do other things.
Yeah, I mean, it's seasonal and cyclical patterns are usually the jumping point, the starting off point for us. Technicals, you know, I look at chart structures and patterns, you know, gaps and support levels, just simple things. And you know, I look at a chart with some technical indicators, MACD, relative strength, stochastics. I usually have a couple moving averages on there, 50-day, 200-day, pivot points, support, resistance, and I'll throw a Bollinger Band on there if I want to have a look at that, you know, envelope. Just had a great interview with John, which went well. You know, we also will layer fundamentals in there. One of the first things I learned, I think it was Ken Fisher originators, is the price to sales ratio. Looking at stocks, I mean, that's one of the first things my father taught me was looking for things, you know, at or below or around a price to sales ratio of 1. You know, you want to not be overpaying for revenue. Revenue is harder to manipulate than earnings. Mm-hmm. But we now screen when we screen for stocks, in addition to the seasonal overlay and the technical overlay, we're looking for companies that are, you know, great valuations, price to sales, book value, earnings, margins, debt, and so a little momentum, you know, and not too much of a following, et cetera.
The next question is, who have been your greatest influences? I would assume, obviously, the first one
My
was
father.
your father.
There was another gentleman that worked for us who's retired, Robert Cardwell, who comes from a literature background, but a very, very smart man. He taught me how to write, as well as both my parents and my father, and learning from Bob how to analyze stocks and look critically at the information. And we did some traveling to check out some companies together. Those are the personal influences. I think George Lindsay. A lot of people don't know about his style, and some of it's a bit esoteric and odd, to say the least. But just that type of analysis. I think Jerry Appel with MACD. I think that's very important. Those are the personal main ones. There's a whole volume and library of things that I've looked at and read and spoken to.
So I would assume for your suggestions for 3 technical analysis book, which one would be yours ones?
Well, I think the Almanac, I've had discussions with our friend in New York, JC, All-Star Charts, some debates about, seasonality is not technical analysis. He's like, are you kidding me? It's price movement over time. Of course it's that. So I think the Almanac would be our first book. I use it daily. My good friend John Persson has a book on candlesticks and pivot points with all sorts of technical trading tools and using unbalanced volume and advanced declines. Along with that stuff. And I think the Bulkowski book, the Encyclopedia of Chart Patterns, like John Person's book and Bulkowski's, I keep on my shelf to pull out and reference something if I recognize it. I don't remember exactly, those are my reference books. That and Ned Davis's Market Emotions, but that's not technical.
Yeah, that's a bit fusion and heavy. That's heavy materials, but that's very good, excellent material. Okay, if you could give a call to 25-year-old Jeff and have a chat with him, what would you advise him?
Study more, research more, listen to more experts, read more, not argue with my father as much, and just appreciate things a little bit more and spend more time and not be so quick to get swayed one way or another, and just more study. Okay,
now the subject of arguing, for example, what was the last time you argued with the market and you had a bad call? Is there anything that, a bad trade or bad call that really stands out, or what have you learned from it?
Well, one of the most recent things was on a recent trip with family to the islands, Turks and Caicos. It was in early October when we had that late September, early October V sort of sell-off. And we had been anticipating it quite a bit and had a lot of buy limits for different sector ETFs and a whole bunch of stocks that we had screened below the market. And everything got filled as it went down. And so we were building the positions up in our portfolio. And I'm away without good cell service, without Wi-Fi, very sketchy. And I'm seeing it, us getting drawn down. And, I was texting and emailing my partner back in the States. I said, Jeff, just take it easy. We have our buy limits in. We know where our mental stops are. Look at the time of the year that is. It's late September. This is our analysis. So just checking my emotions and having a partner to rely on that's a little bit cooler, a little more ice water in his veins than me for that. I'm a little more emotional to him about it. So to check that was a good reminder.
Great. Fun fact: what does Jeff do outside of market hours? I mean, how do you like? Do you have any hobbies?
Probably too many. I like to cook. Keeps me. I've played a lot of rugby over the years, which is interesting being here in England. I'll surf when I can. Have a regular golf tee time. I have my children. We like to play outside, hike in the woods. Our dog as well. So, plenty of things. Gardening.
Well, I think this wraps up today's MTA podcast with our good friend Jeff Hirsch.
Great to be here.
For the MTA, my name is Alex Spiroglou, and we will be seeing you at the next MTA meeting. Thank you very much.